Now, a woman is pregnant. What are some of the things that women often miss or dismiss when it comes to pregnancy that maybe they shouldn't?
So I would say,
So a lot of women are always like, when they're pregnant, they're like, I'm eating for two, please allow me. I'm eating for two, please allow me. As times have gone by and, I've learned, a few things, I'm not sure that is the case. So is that true, Tamara? Is a woman actually eating for two? And if not, how much is actually enough for the mother and the baby?
Consultation Room Podcast. Today is a special episode. We're talking everything pregnancy, how to have a healthy pregnancy journey, and who better to talk us through it. We have a registered midwife with us and who is also an experienced mother. So she's going to share with us her expertise, her knowledge, and everything just to have a healthy journey with our pregnancy. Thank you, Tamara, for joining us. And hopefully we're going to learn one or two things.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I know for sure, Steph, that I'm going to learn a lot because I'm not a mother yet. So I have so many questions. Just to begin with, I don't know about you, Steph, but a lot of patients come in and they're like, oh, I'm trying to get pregnant. What would you advise? What I always say is speak to a midwife. As much as we can maybe give advice on some supplements they need to be taking, how they need to look after themselves, we're not like, we're not experts in that department. So, go speak to your midwife. Now, we have a midwife here today.
Yes.
So my first question is, as a woman / girl who is not, has not been pregnant before, what could I do to prepare for pregnancy? What are the things I could do? What are the things I should know before preparing to get pregnant, or if I'm on the journey of family planning?
Yeah.
So first of all, I would say knowledge is power. So definitely if you're thinking about starting a family, getting pregnant, reading, you need to do your research, read up about pregnancy, read up about what to expect. I mean, there are basic things that every woman should know. Obviously, having a balanced diet, healthy BMI, being physically active is always going to put you in good stead, anything medical. So those are the basics. But as midwives, we don't really see women until their booking appointment, which is roughly in between maybe 7 to 10 weeks. So there's loads of things that they could read before that time, and they could see their GP because GPs can give advice. They could also see their nurse practitioners at their GPs as well. It depends on their situation, I would say. Also, mental health, I would say before going on a pregnancy journey, mental health is key. So if you know you already struggle with mental health, definitely get help and support with that because pregnancy, there's so many hormones and changes. So get help early.
I like that.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm glad you've actually mentioned mental health because I think that's one of the most important things, because that's why, sometimes you find women who have children and they were not mentally prepared for it. And then, postpartum depression is not necessarily because you're not mentally prepared, but some things can occur from lack of, being prepared. So I'm glad that you actually did that.
I just want to touch on that as well because women get pregnant and you've got that kind of happy phase where people are like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm gonna have a baby, but they don't realize that the journey of pregnancy can come with loads of twists and turns. So although they might have had good mental health in the beginning, things could happen during that pregnancy that could spiral and maybe make your mental health status kind of change as well. So it's just being fully aware and having a good support system where possible. Another point I did want to mention as well, financial cost of a baby.
Amen.
Yeah. I
It's
think
true.
a lot of people
it's so
are not cheap.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
In this financial economy.
I think that people are not fully aware of all the costs involved with having children. So definitely there's information out there. So if you're thinking about starting a family, go and do your research.
Yes. Honestly, it's so expensive. Sometimes I look at my shopping list, I'm like, what? And it's not even for me. Yeah, the things I'm buying for my kids. I was like, oh Lord.
No.
Financial plays a big role when it comes to like thinking about starting a family. If you're not financially there, rethink about it. Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that you said mental health as well, because I think it's so important when it comes to pregnancy and the journey and everything. Like, having been through it, I think, yes, that is one thing I would say people need to prepare themselves for. And my next question is actually for those who want to get pregnant. When I wanted to get pregnant, as you said, knowledge is key. I was literally researching, how do you get, obviously I know how you get yourself pregnant,
how do you have
but
boys?
like I was like, research, how do you get pregnant? But but like in terms of like how do you prepare your body? Like, how do you prepare your body? Like, how would you know your body is ready? And I was
Ready to
speaking,
carry.
exactly. And I was speaking to like quite a few people, and so one of the girls here that I spoke to, she was like, she actually knows her body and she tracks her body. She knows when she's ovulating and things. I'm like, really? Clearly, I don't know when I'm ovulating because I have no clue. She was like, yeah, I really do. And she was telling me about all these signs, and that's how she that's what she used to get herself pregnant. So she knew when she was ovulating. Obviously, then she'll do the deeds and stuff, which we're not getting into. But like, for me, I went through, because I didn't know my body. I obviously had to go through a different route and find out how to know when I was ovulating. So my next question is, how important is tracking like ovulation and menstrual cycles when trying to like conceive, and what are the most effective ways to like do it?
So first of all, I want to say what you said about knowing your body, I think is absolutely key. Like, as a woman, not even just trying to, get pregnant, knowing your body, knowing things that feel right, feel wrong, don't feel quite, that is a big part of it, because everything is intuition. But in terms of ovulation, so the ovulation is a 7-day kind of window. So you've got 5 days before ovulation itself, which you can get pregnant in that time. You have the day of ovulation and then the day after. So in that 7-day window is the optimum time to get pregnant. Now, loads of women track this differently. So I know some women that track it by how they feel. So they'll know when they've ovulated because their mood switches, or they feel a bit more attracted to their partner, shall we say. They want to kind of do the deed because ovulation has happened, and that's a natural hormone. Hormones are all kind of flying around, and it's quite natural. You have people that also check their basal temperature when they wake up. So they track their temperature every morning, and when they've got the spike in the temperature, then they know, okay, I'm ovulating. So that's a telltale sign. People also track their LH, so that's a hormone. They do LH tracking. So they would literally, it's like when you would do a pregnancy test. So they would pass urine on a strip, and it would show them if their LH is high or not. So another common way that I know a lot of people use to track their cycle are like apps, ovulation apps, because they can input when their last period was, and then it gives them kind of an idea of when they're going to ovulate, and it's a quick and easy way for people to do that as well.
That's right. I think I've used like the app and the ovulation kit as well.
You have actually, Steph.
I've used the app and like the ovulation kit as well, because I could not tell like when my body was ovulating, so I had to literally result in like the kit basically to let me know, yes, you're ovulating, or in the app as well, because honestly I had no clue. I really need to be in tune with my body. I need to.
When I was trying to conceive my son too, I used the app and I used the strips as well, and it actually worked. I was really surprised.
Same. I didn't struggle at all. I know some people do, which I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. But honestly, the app and the kit really helped.
So I did struggle actually, but when I then used the equipment, it worked fine.
Okay.
Do you know what? I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's very often that you hear girls saying, we've been trying, and maybe they don't actually realize you don't just try at any time. You know, you need to try the right times as well. So I think, you know, having this conversation is quite important, especially for those who've been trying and maybe not been successful.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, girl is pregnant. What are the most common concerns or questions that you get about early pregnancy? I know for sure I will have my midwife. I feel sorry for her, because my OCD, I'll be calling her day and night. Like, is this supposed to happen? Why am I feeling this? You know, but I don't know what exactly to expect, you know. Yeah. So what are the questions you have received?
So as a midwife myself, we do see women in early pregnancy, but like I said, it's usually from 6 to 10 weeks. So sometimes most of the time, a lot of women find out they're pregnant around 4 weeks. So in between 4 and 6 weeks, they usually have an implantation bleed. Now, you've just done a pregnancy test, it's come up positive, you're happy. And then a few days later, you see a bit of blood on wiping, for example. That's usually an implantation bleed. But to a newly pregnant woman, you're shocked. Why am I bleeding? I'm pregnant. Is everything okay? So a lot of women would visit their early pregnancy unit just to get checked out and make sure that everything's okay. And a lot of the time it is. So that's one concern in early pregnancy, definitely bleeding.
Yeah.
Another one I can think of is sickness. A lot of women have morning sickness. And dealing with that can be horrendous depending on how badly you have it. So usually women would attend their GP to, you know, get some anti-sickness for things like morning sickness.
Actually, you said morning sickness, but is it actually just morning sickness, or is it all day, every day sickness? Because my sister's been pregnant 3 times, and I can tell you, it was not morning sickness. It was not sickness whenever, you know, she just walked out and smelled something she didn't like.
Yeah, so I said morning sickness, but you're right, it's pregnancy sickness anytime, any day. A lot of women do experience it in the morning, but then you have the other side where they experience it anytime. So there is a pregnancy sickness called hyperemesis, and I actually had this in my own pregnancy. I was sick all the way through, and it's quite extreme for women that go through it.
I think it's so difficult being a woman. I actually didn't know about the implantation bleeding. I was not aware of that. I don't even think I even noticed it. So it's a good thing you said that, because I don't think, well, unless you're looking for it, I guess that's when you would see it. But I don't think I noticed that. Through like all 3 pregnancies, I didn't notice the implantation bleed. But that morning sickness, Trudy.
The thing is as well, every woman in every pregnancy is so different. So some women might not even see that implantation bleed, and some will see the sickness. It usually tends to get better by the 2nd trimester. So that's when you're kind of out of the woods. If it's kind of going on past the 2nd trimester, it's kind of looking like it could be hyperemesis.
I see. Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, sometimes when you're like, you know what, I'm excited, I'm ready, and then you hear this and you're like, you know what, I can actually hold the idea up for a little bit longer.
Listen, enjoy every bit before getting pregnant.
You know, and do you know what? You know what we said? You have to be mentally prepared. You have to be mentally ready, because some of these things people don't. You know, women don't think about these things. Like your body is just going to do what your body wants to do. You can't do nothing about it, and you just have to be okay and just deal with it, basically.
I'm so glad you said that, because even as a midwife myself, I never expected to have sickness from day one to the day I had my son.
Yes,
and it just did not cross my mind that it would be me. But you just get on and you deal with it.
Honestly, I hate the first trimester as well. And I don't know about you, Tammy, but I was so weak during that first trimester. It's like I couldn't physically walk. It was so bad. It was so bad. I think that's like my least favorite like term when it comes to like the pregnancy journey. But the early stages.
Yeah, the first trimester, I find a lot of women are really tired and really sickly during that time. And then you get to the second trimester and they've got like a burst of energy, their mood improves. So once you just get over that first hurdle,
Yeah. Guys, so don't worry. First trimester, maybe a bit of a but hang in there.
It gets better. It gets better.
So for some people, I know honestly, I know someone who threw out her pregnancy as well. Was literally, she had hyperemesis, like you said. She threw up all the way through from like first trimester to like when the baby was coming. I felt so sorry for her. I was like, glad I didn't have to go through that. But please hang in there. First trimester, that's how it usually is. You know, our body's going through a lot of like hormonal changes and stuff. So that's why we normally go through that. So hang in there, guys. And speaking of like, you know, the early stages, Tamara, when someone finds out they're pregnant, what should be like the first steps they should take after finding out they're pregnant? What should they do?
So first of all, definitely get in contact with your local maternity service. So you need to arrange to have a booking appointment with a midwife so that they can book your pregnancy, take all of your history, and you know, just make sure you've got any referrals that you may need and give you all the information surrounding pregnancy and what's to come, really. And women can do this either by contacting their maternity service directly. So usually you could go to their website and do a self-referral, or you could go through your GP and refer that way as well. Also, if you know you're pregnant, you definitely need to be taking folic acid at least until 12 weeks of pregnancy and vitamin D all the way throughout. And very, very important, no smoking, no drinking alcohol.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's you know, you said the alcohol and no smoking, so what if someone did not know like they were pregnant and they did actually end up like drinking? Is that okay?
So a lot of women don't find out they're pregnant until maybe 4 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes further. There's nothing you can do. You can't stress and worry about something that's kind of been and gone. If you know now, you can do better. So you know you're pregnant now, so you need to stop drinking.
Wow, that's already so interesting. That's an interesting conversation. One thing actually before we continue, I did hear something. Someone was like, oh, before you plan for pregnancy, you should not be drinking, you should not be smoking. And if you have been smoking and drinking, maybe you should wait before you start, you know, trying for pregnancy. And then someone else actually said that most babies have been made like during wild nights of like drinking, smoking and drugs.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm like, if that is like something that a woman needs to hear and just be like, okay, my baby's gonna turn out okay by all means. But I thought, like, when I heard that, I was like, okay, that actually that is something.
Yeah.
We're not condoning drinking, smoking, drugs. No. By all means, you know, if you can cut them completely, even after baby, you're doing yourself, and you know, you're doing yourself favors, good favors. But you know, if that is the case, you know, don't panic or feel like, you know, you're the worst mother ever, because that's not the case. But speaking of sort of like the things that people need to do, what are the factors, lifestyle factors, like let's say sleep, diet, and stress management, that is very important and will impact pregnancy? And how can someone sort of like work towards, you know, ensuring that these factors don't actually affect their pregnancy?
As I said before, you know, having good health yourself, even before you get pregnant, is going to put you in good stead for pregnancy. Hopefully, we can't say 100% because anything can happen. These babies like to give us little surprises. But, you know,
8 hours of sleep a day is kind of what they recommend. You know, that's going to be good for your physical health, going to be good for your mental and emotional health. Poor sleep can lead to, you know, mum being unwell, you know, and anything that affects mum could affect baby.
True.
Diet, definitely having a healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, eating all of the right foods, fruit and veg, taking the vitamins. So if you know you're trying for a baby, taking folic acid and vitamin B way before you even get pregnant, taking that regularly, and just, you know, drinking plenty of water. That's going to put you in a good path. You know, with diet, we look at things like BMI as well. You know, when women have their initial booking appointment, one of the things we look at is their height and their weight. So if you have a average normal BMI, you are what we would call low risk. If you've got a raised BMI, you might be put on what we call a high risk pathway. So you'd have like a consultant led kind of pregnancy, depending on how high the BMI is. And, you know, equally, if you've got a really low BMI, you know, then you could also be consultant led, because there can be risks, you know, for the pregnancy as well.
True.
So definitely diet and lifestyle is a big factor and contribution towards pregnancy. And stress. I mean, everybody in life has some levels of stress, but excessive stress is not good for anybody. It's not going to be good for a mother. It's not going to be good for the baby. And there's also evidence to suggest that stress increases, obviously, cortisol levels, which can transfer to the placenta, and that can alter the behavior of babies later on in life.
Oh, wow. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can be blaming your child and it was probably your fault. All the stress.
What are the people around you?
The people around you causing all the stress, and you taking it on, and you're like, oh my God, this child. But it's, you know, it was passed with the placenta, this cortisol levels. That is actually really good to know. I didn't actually know that cortisol levels can be passed through placenta. So that's something I've learned. But that is actually really good to know.
It's
wow.
You know, I always wondered what actually, I know like they use different factors to determine who's low risk and who's high risk, but you saying it right now really like made sense now. It's like, oh, why do they always like check my weight and height and stuff? Oh, it's all part of like determining whether you're low risk and stuff. I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
What else?
I'm glad you
whilst we're
mentioned
talking about that,
Yeah.
what else is considered high risk and what is considered low? Like besides, of course, the BMI. You've mentioned BMI, but is there other factors that would make someone high risk pregnancy?
There's so many factors. So many factors. So when you're looking at someone that's high risk, quote unquote, we could be looking at somebody that's got comorbidities already. So maybe they've already got heart disease, or maybe they've got cancer, because we do see women that have got cancer that get pregnant. You've got women that had previous pregnancies where there were complications, and you know, we look at those factors as well. There's so many things that I can list, a long list that could make you high risk potentially. Which is why it's important. So when I was saying before, to do your research about pregnancy, about kind of different pathways, knowing your body, speaking to your GP, you know, I want to get pregnant. I know I've got this and this going on. What do you think? Getting that early advice before you get yourself pregnant and kind of go into the maternity services.
Interesting.
I know this is probably off track as well. Again, coming back to like low risk and high risk, but I'm gonna ask you this: do you treat people differently when it comes to like low risk and high risk? Because I feel like being like with me, with each of my pregnancy, they classified me as low risk, and I felt like I wasn't given that much of care from my midwife as compared to others. And I felt it was not fair, basically.
Really?
Yes.
So obviously I can't talk for all midwives. I can only talk for my own practice. But no, I don't treat people differently. I treat people depending on their needs. So
Mm-hmm.
you might have a low risk woman who still needs a lot of TLC. She still needs a lot of information because she's a first time mum. Yes, she's low risk, but she needs kind of that nurturing.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got some high risk women, but it's their fourth baby and they know the system. They know they're going to have scans. They know they're going to have extra bloods. They know they've got consultant appointments. So it depends on the woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is actually, no, I'm glad you say that, because I think that kind of like gives women a bit of hope that, okay, even if you're high risk or low risk, it doesn't necessarily, and you have, you know, more needs than maybe another pregnant woman who might be considered, you know, either low risk or high risk, you will be, your needs will be met, you know, at least if you know, if Tamara is your midwife. I don't know about the midwives, but
I'll just, honestly,
we're honest.
I'll just say Tamara is different, but with my experience, I just felt like I had for each of my pregnancies, I had different midwives, and I just felt like some of them, because you're considered low risk, one of them tried to push me to do something that I didn't feel comfortable doing, but she kept on with, because you're low risk, you know, you should go for it. And I just thought,
what was it?
It was just like a
it's consultation room podcast. What did you want to do?
So basically,
I wanted
to like give
my midwife will suffer because I need to know all this information. So please share.
No, I can imagine you, because you remember, Trudy, you went with me for one of my scans, you kept on asking this lady so many questions.
And then at the end of the day, I was crying like a baby. Honestly,
she was crying.
I am terrible. Don't take me to your pregnancy appointments, because honestly, you would, they won't want you going in there with anyone else.
So on the flip side, I love women that come with supportive partners, ask questions, advocate for the woman, because it's really hard to advocate for yourself when you're pregnant. Like, I'm a midwife and I found it difficult to advocate for myself. And I found it even harder because they knew I was a midwife. So they were like, oh, you just know it.
You know this.
Yeah, you know everything. It's fine. But it was so hard to advocate for myself, in my opinion anyway. So I love it when partners come and they're asking questions and they want to be involved. Yeah, I want to give you that information. I want to empower you. I want you to feel empowered to, you know, be there for that pregnant person.
Yeah.
Honest. But Trudy, I'll let you know that thing later. So you want to?
I'm not letting it go. No, after this, we need to have a little bit of a chat, because I need to know, what does she want you to do? Like, it's
I mean,
serious,
I can say it on here. No, it wasn't something bad, but it's like, you know, which will lead me to my next question. You know, with like as Africans, sometimes when you're pregnant, like you start thinking really bad things and stuff. So I just wanted to basically give birth in the hospital for just in case, you know, because as I've always wanted to. But my last pregnancy, she was like, oh, you've had 2 babies, you know, they've both been natural, you're low risk, so why don't you just think about like home birth or like one of the birth centers and stuff? And I was like, no, I want to like go to the hospital when I'm pregnant. But she kept on pushing for it. And then like, it wasn't just one like consultation. It was like the next consultation. And I was like,
still pushing.
I just want to like
she was getting a
give birth in the hospital. I don't know.
Because
I just felt more comfortable being in the hospital, you know, for just in case I have people there. Yeah, but I don't know what Tammy has to say with this.
So when you're low risk, we do promote or discuss, you know, giving birth in low risk settings. So that could be at home and that could be on a birth center. However, you know, you do your birth plan roughly around 36 weeks with your midwife. And if a woman says, actually, I feel comfortable giving birth in hospital, I don't want to do it at home, you know, your midwife should respect that. But also I would say as a midwife, I would also explore why the woman is saying that, because they might not be fully informed about what to expect at a home birth or what to expect in the birth center. Before COVID even, we used to, at one of the trusts I used to work at, we used to do like tours where women and their partner could come in and see the unit, so then they would be familiar with where they were going to give birth. And I think that was a lovely idea, because it put people at ease. So again, it's knowledge is power, because if you've seen something and you know something, you might feel more comfortable.
But I think also it's very important when midwives respect a woman's decision, be it something that they feel is, it makes sense or not.
Yeah, it's so important for like us to respect each other, and basically for midwives to give us that grace here to express our opinions. I'm glad you said that. Also, moving on to like my next question. How should I put it? Sometimes some people, when you're pregnant, tend to give their opinion or advice as to what you should do. Or, for instance, there was one advice I heard from someone who's like, for your next pregnancy, if you want to give birth to like a girl, I think you should use the Chinese calendar or something like that. I'm like, huh? Basically. So yeah, like when you want to like conceive or you're pregnant, people just tend to give you so many advice, and sometimes it gets really overwhelming. So I just wanted to ask, is there like a particular piece of outdated pregnancy advice that people still hear from like friends or family that you wish would just like go away?
So for me personally as a midwife, usually I don't hear about outdated advice during pregnancy. It's usually in like the postnatal period, where like let's say in-laws or aunties usually would be given advice on how to care for newborn babies. Usually I find that because pregnancy is so intricate that usually they leave the pregnancy part alone to the professionals, but once the baby comes, it's like everybody knows everything.
They know what needs to be done.
That's true.
I mean, I can, from my pregnancy when I had the hyperemesis and I used to tell people I'm being sick, the first thing they'll say is, have you tried ginger biscuits? Yes, I've tried that. I've tried everything. I just think it's about the way people give advice. If you've got advice for a pregnant person, be sensitive in the way that you're giving it. They're going through a lot.
I think that's very important. I think being sensitive is the most important thing, because people will maybe actually genuinely want to help. Even it could be your friends and your family. They genuinely want to help because they can see how much you're suffering, but it's how they go about that, giving advice. Sometimes it's more of when I was pregnant, this is not your pregnancy. Do you know what I mean? It's always when I was pregnant, no, this is not your pregnancy. You can advise me on like, okay, maybe let's try this and see how that works. But when you start with when I was pregnant, disconnect.
Yeah, immediately that's it. Yeah, you switch off.
Honestly, yeah.
Trudy, I like that.
Do you know what? I think I'm ready. I think, guys, at this point, I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
I can just bring it on. Like one auntie saying, Trudy, when you want to get pregnant,
disconnect.
Auntie, please,
I've heard it all. Honestly, no, but do you know what? I'm glad we're talking about these things, because some of the things I've heard, I mean, we'll probably talk about this in another episode, but especially like, post-pregnancy, the things that I've heard people say. I'm like, you know what? You're glad you go to church, because I don't know how. Honestly, some things I've heard though, like on the level, is just a bit, it's mad.
I have to agree with you. I think this is a whole nother episode, because I could go on about the things I've heard as well.
Exactly. Okay, so moving on. So we have talked about outdated advice. We've talked about lifestyle factors that people should consider. But now a woman is pregnant. What are some of the things that women often miss or dismiss when it comes to pregnancy that maybe they shouldn't?
So I would say one of the biggest things is fetal movements. So we know that babies move when they're inside. Babies' movements is how we know that they're healthy and they're happy. Now, the only person that can tell us about those movements is the pregnant person.
That's it.
Okay. So we always say to women, you will learn your baby's patterns. If that pattern changes, reduces, deviates, you need to escalate that. You need to call your unit, whether that's their delivery suite, their triage, their helpline, call it something different everywhere. But just being so aware of those movements, because it's the only way that we will know that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Or I should say, it's one of the ways. It's one of the biggest ways we'll know that something is wrong. And sometimes, you know, women dismiss their intuition. So, for example, they'll think, oh, maybe hasn't moved as much, but it's fine. Or, you know, I'll just call later. No, call now. We want you to call now. We're 24 hours. Call us now. Yeah. So don't dismiss that. Don't second guess yourself. We'd rather you come in 100 times than not come that one time and something, you know, bad happens.
And you know what? Regardless of what anyone says, I think women's intuition is always so strong. So I'm glad you're saying this, because when you have that incline that something is not right, go get it checked. You might just be, it might be the only thing that actually saves both you and baby. So just go get it checked, at least to get that, okay, everything is good. And I'm sure midwives wouldn't mind. Like, maybe after a while they're like, come on, but I'm sure most of the time they wouldn't mind, you know, that someone is so maybe just very concerned, very worried as the first child, that they just want to make sure that everything's okay. So if maybe there's one who is, you know, as you said, might be low risk, but they're just a bit needy, I'm sure midwives would understand this.
We definitely do. We definitely want to see you. We want to hear your concerns, because that's what we're here for. And I'm glad that you said, you know, any little worry. So I was talking about fetal movements, but I was going to say next, you know, if a woman's just not feeling right, but she can't put her finger on whatever that feeling is, just come in and be seen. You might just need a chat. You might need reassurance, but let us check you over. Let us make sure. Let's give you that peace of mind.
I'm glad you said that.
I was just going to say as well, and you know, antenatally, so in the pregnancy period, when women are seeing their midwife should also be asking them about different important signs and symptoms at every appointment. You know, so any bleeding, any headaches, any visual disturbances, things like this, making sure that they're aware of all of these important reasons, any excessive itching, so that women are getting to know what these important symptoms are, important signs to look out for, and reasons to come in and be seen. And they will definitely have that all over the women's pregnancy notes, or if their notes are online, there will be somewhere big and bold for you to see what those reasons are. So read all the information that's given to you.
Do you know what you mentioned visual disturbances, and I think that's very important for me, because sometimes I can't tell if it's just my eyesight that's failing me or I'm seeing things, and so I'm gonna start knowing my body better, because listen, like when I'm being asked these questions, I need to be able to point out, no, it's not just the normal, you can't, you know, you can't see very well, your glasses are dirty. It's actually something else going on, you know. But little things like that we don't even think about is very important.
I think I like the initial part when you said like the best thing for us to do is like the fetal movement. The best person that would know is the person that's pregnant, which is really important, because I think my first pregnancy, obviously, you know, you've never been pregnant before, you don't know what's going on, so like the midwife would be asking you a lot of questions, and you'd think, why is the midwife like asking me all of these questions? You know, you don't know what's going on. And sometimes, like during my first pregnancy, obviously I wasn't aware that I had to like pay so much attention to what was going on inside, like the movement of the baby. We do know, like during the first trimester, the early stages, like you can't really feel anything. I think sometimes you get like, you know, butterflies, like bubbles or so, like during like the second trimester or so. Obviously, I was not aware of these things. So I was so like, it's probably like maybe my belly rumbling or something. So the midwife was, oh, so have you felt anything? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, you sure? Well, I've never been pregnant, so I don't even know what I was looking out for, you know. So I'll be like, no movement, nothing so far. But during my third pregnancy, I could feel the baby so early on, because I could feel those bubbles so early on. Unlike like my first pregnancy, I had no clue. But the third one, I was like, oh, I could already feel the baby. And I think
because you knew what you were looking out for. So you probably could feel in the fast pregnancy, you just didn't know what you were looking out for.
Yes.
And this is really common as well. A lot of women in their second and third pregnancies, like, oh, I felt the baby earlier this time. Yeah, because you know what you're feeling.
Yeah. So your first pregnancy, don't get worried or anything if you can't feel the baby. You will feel obviously at a later stage, but early on, yes, you probably wouldn't feel that there's anything there. You just get like the signs and symptoms, as which we've mentioned. So don't be worried. I actually have a story. So like was it my third or second? I can't even remember. But one of my midwife appointments. Later on in the stage, the midwife must have asked me, oh, so how's the baby movement and stuff? And I was like, I've not really felt the baby move today. And at that moment, she was so worried. She was like, okay, so what I want you to do, I can't remember. She said, I need to call triage or something because she needs to refer me. And I got so worried. And I was like, oh, why are you referring me? She was like, because you said you haven't felt the baby today, but usually you do. And I was getting so worried. And I was like, but that's because I haven't paid attention to it. And I'm sure, like, so guys, please pay attention if you are pregnant. Like, make sure you're monitoring the baby's pattern and stuff. So that's what I wanted to highlight when you said it's important to know your baby's pattern, like the movement of the baby, because obviously I was not paying attention and I must have not. Obviously, the baby was moving, but that day I think I was so busy.
You missed
I didn't pay attention. Exactly. So when she asked me, I was like, oh, I have not felt the baby. And she was like, she needs to refer. I was like so positive that I was okay. And I was like, no, I'm not going. Trust me, I'm okay. She's like, okay, I'm just making note. And I'm like, so please monitor the patterns. Yes. So moving on to the next as well. So there's quite a lot of like myths out there, and one of the myths is that like some pregnant ladies, when you're pregnant you get like cravings and stuff. I don't know about you, Tammy, when you were pregnant, whether you had any cravings. I mean, I didn't. I felt like I was eating everything that I wanted. I wasn't having any cravings that, oh, I really want to eat this, or none at all. But my question to you, are there any weird cravings you've heard of that actually have like a biological explanation, or are they just random?
So for me personally, I didn't really have cravings because I had the sickness, so I couldn't really but I did go for a stage where I loved ice cubes. I loved them so much.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I did.
Were you anemic?
I used to get up in the night to suck ice cubes. Crazy times. But so there are some pregnancy cravings which are non-food kind of cravings. So this is a condition called pica. So for example, some women might eat clay or chalk or soap.
Chalk, I've seen that.
Yeah.
They sell that in Africa, like for pregnant women, don't they?
Yeah. Do you know what, actually? And that brings me back to, the family and friends also advising things. Somebody bought me someone that was pregnant. I was like, absolutely no way.
Really?
But I know,
do you know what, though?
Be linked.
I have a confession to make. I've eaten this chalk before. Of course, I'm not pregnant. And it's actually, no, I have, just to like taste it. Like, what is this thing? It's actually not bad. I have no idea what is in this thing, but I was curious, and I was like, what is in this thing? And I was like, I'll take that with me. Thank you very much.
But no, I do know
don't
that
eat the chalk, guys. I'm not saying you should eat it, but it's just, it's interesting.
Yeah, no. It can be linked to some nutrient deficiencies as well, and different hormonal changes. So sometimes that's why women can crave those non-food items. But even just normal cravings is all to do with the hormonal changes, and those changes can also lead to cravings and also food aversions. So, you know, when women are like, oh, I can't stand the smell of that, or I can't eat that, that's horrid. I remember in early pregnancy, before I knew I was pregnant, chicken, I completely went off it. And I love chicken. Anyone that knows me, I love chicken. But I was eating the chicken and I was like, this just tastes so off. It just tastes so strange. And I couldn't eat it for, I think, 30 weeks, the first 30 weeks of my pregnancy.
But now you eat chicken, just to make sure.
I love chicken. I was really worried that I'd never like chicken again. But it took some time, but I got back there.
The reason I say that is actually because I know some people who've had like similar thing where they really went off something completely during pregnancy. And even after pregnancy, they just, I think it probably left a bad taste in their mouth, and they just, they offed it completely. Yeah, that's interesting. But wait, Steph, you were craving chai latte. You used to have loads of chai latte.
No, it wasn't craving.
Oh, you were just enjoying it?
Yeah, I was just enjoying it. Like, you know how some people, they'll probably wake up their husband, at 3 a.m. in the morning. Oh, I want this kebab and stuff. I never had that.
Oh,
like, I feel like my husband had it easy.
So this is my last question. And I'm only going to ask this because I've heard this way too many times, okay? And up to I'd say maybe like a good few years ago, I was always thinking this is actually a thing. Girl, you do you. So a lot of women are always like, when they're pregnant, they're like, I'm eating for 2, please allow me. I'm eating for 2, please allow me. And I was always under the impression that, listen, girl, do you, like, you know, you eat for you and your baby. Eat your 2 plates of jollof. Eat your 2, you know, your 2 doner kebabs or whatever. Do what you have to do. But of course, as you know, as times have gone by, and you know, I've learned a few things, I'm not sure that is the case. So is that true, Tamara? Is a woman actually eating for 2? And if not, how much is actually enough for the mother and the baby?
So it's funny you asked me this question, because before I did my training as well, I always assumed that mothers were eating for 2 as well, because it just makes sense. There's 2 of them. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, no, you don't need to eat for 2. You just need to eat a regular balanced diet and make sure, you know, you're being healthy, drinking enough water, reducing, you know, your caffeine, and not eating certain foods, you know, because you need to reduce those in pregnancy. But yeah, just eating normally. And like I said before, what's important is making sure you're taking the folic acid up to the 12 weeks and taking the vitamin D throughout.
Interesting. I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad, because honestly, the amount of times my aunties would be like, no, add more. I'm eating for 2. I'm like, all right, sorry, auntie. You keep adding. Like, wow, this woman. And at the end,
they're using it as an excuse to do enjoyment.
That's it. So you had it, guys. Just eat enough for yourself. Make sure you're taking your vitamins, as you know, as Tamara said. Make sure you're hydrating. Water is very important. Cut down on the caffeine. Cut down on the smoking. Maybe quit completely. No drinking. Just live a healthy life and stop eating for 2, because this is not true.
One thing I will say as well is, you know, when you get pregnant, we say try to eat little and often, because you might find that you can't eat like a normal sized plate of food anymore, especially as the baby grows. All the organs and everything are getting kind of squished, so it's harder to maybe eat how much you were eating before. So you might have 4 or 5 small meals a day, and that's totally fine.
Basically, we shouldn't use food as an excuse to overeat, but make sure you're eating right, balanced, you know.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say, but thank you, Steph. Don't use food as an excuse.
Yes,
that's true.
Yes, just eat a balanced diet and eat appropriate sizes as well. Don't overindulge, okay? We've all been there, trust me. I used to say as
gluttony is a sin.
When I was pregnant, all I used to say is, I'm hungry, I'm pregnant, I need to eat. But yes, I think what I noticed was that I used to get hungry really quickly. Yeah. And yeah, I basically needed to eat all the time as well to help the nausea. So I don't know, I was just eating to stop myself from feeling nauseous, but I wasn't like eating a large amount, if that makes sense. I was still eating, but not in the large amount. But don't overindulge, people. Don't use that pregnancy as an excuse.
Yes. Exactly. And baby does not need that much food. Baby does not need a whole plate of jollof, okay? So one plate is enough. Baby will get nutrients from that one plate as long as it's balanced.
Yeah, exactly. Eat your fruits and vegetables.
Drink plenty of water.
Good. So my last question, which I think you've mentioned something earlier, like how like our partners or our support people can help us like advocate for us, like, when you're not even able to, like, they are there to advocate for us. And it's so important. I especially was really lucky to have like my partner, because there was a point where, like, sometimes I couldn't speak, even like during the early stages. Like I was anemic and I had to go for like iron infusion and stuff. And if it wasn't for my partner, like these people would be pricking me here and there, but he was there to like step in and stuff. And also, like, at the early stages, sometimes you can't really do a lot of things, so he would like obviously support me and things. So my question is, how can partners or support people best show up like during the early stages of like pregnancy?
So where possible, attend appointments together, because the information that the midwives or any nurses or any health professionals giving you is not just for the pregnant woman. The partner needs to know all of this information as well. And at the early stages of pregnancy, there's so much information, especially that first booking appointment. So even if you're just there to pick up things and write things down or remember things that your partner might forget later, at least somebody's heard it and they picked that up. So before you even get to, trying to conceive as a partner, do your reading as well. Know what to expect. Know what's coming, because this is very much your pregnancy journey too. You're not having any physical changes in your body, but you are going to watch somebody going through that. So you need to be aware of what's going on and what is to come, even for, labor and birth and the postnatal period. And it's so nice to see partners take an interest and ask questions. We love it when partners are involved, especially during labour and birth. You rub her back and you massage her feet. We love it all. So, taking an interest. And also, I would say every pregnant person is so different. So it's about the communication you have with that person and knowing what their needs are and what they expect from you in their pregnancy. I think that's really, really important, and it's things that maybe we don't discuss enough, especially in our community as well. I'm trying to think, how else can people best show up and support? Just, being aware of the day-to-day of pregnancy as well. So we were talking earlier about, being tired in that first trimester. So understanding that the person you're having the child with is not going to be as active as they might have been before. They might not, eat the same foods that they were eating before. So even you cooking a certain food that they don't like the smell of, being mindful of doing that when they're not in the house, for example. So it's these little things, really taking an interest in knowing, but definitely where possible, attending appointments, attending scans.
That is important.
100%. Buy them flowers, baby moon, rub their feet, just little things.
After all, we are the one carrying the baby, so they need to shower us. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, a healthy chat is a step towards a healthy life.
If you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, drop us an email at consultationroompod@gmail.com. Our Instagram is @consultationroompod. See you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay blessed.